Hi everybody, so today's video is going to be about how to read labels. We're going to use these mini marshmallows, for example, and how to read the nutrient label on the back as well as the ingredients. So if we look at our nutrient facts, it's going to say this is about 9 servings for a container. So you know that there's going to be about 9 servings. So say I divide it this way, I'm going to cut it, like so. That is your serving size. It's your serving portion. It will also say serving size 2/3 cup, so you could also measure that out if that's something that you want to do. Then you have calories. So the amount per serving is 90. You do want to take calories with a grain of salt. Calories are not something that is a calorie is not a calorie. There are a few things in our body that we cannot actually scientifically get data on. So take these with a grain of salt. They may be more, they may be less, they may be exact, but they're not going to be spot on. So if you are a calorie counter, I would suggest intuitive eating and listening to your hunger and satiation cues instead. Your body will tell you what you need. But a reminder that calories, it's not a recommendation of how you should eat or drink, right? We just want to pay attention to a lot of other things. So after that, we have your nutrients. So all of these guys down here, and I know they just changed the label, but there's not going to be a ton on here because it is just marshmallows. If it was something that's ultra processed besides this, maybe it's like a cracker or a cookie or something like that, you're going to see a lot more on this nutrition label than just total fat, sodium, total carb, total sugars, added sugars, and protein. You may see cholesterol on there. You might see dietary fiber on there. You might see saturated fat or trans fat. And then you might potentially also have like vitamins like vitamin D or calcium, vitamin C, iron, potassium, and things like that. So this particular bag of marshmallows has 0 grams of total fat. Now anything that's less, like say it's like 0.02 grams, they can label that as 0 on this label. So it doesn't necessarily mean there's no fat. It just means that it's so low in fat, it's not statistically significant enough to put on a label. Okay. Then we have your sodium. It's only 15 milligrams. You'll see the percent daily value here. So it'll say 1% of the daily value. You want your daily values to add up to 100%. You don't want to stay either below that with sodium, below that with sugar, or you can say add it, but you never want to really go over it. Obviously, this is a sugary food, so you're not going to see a ton of salt in there. That's why the sodium is so low. Then we have your total carbohydrates, and that is broken down into added sugars and total sugars. So you can see, like, especially if it's something that's a fruit base, you might see, like I've got some Lara bars in there that are made from dates and apples. So there's obviously sugar in them. So you'll see that under total sugar, but their added sugar is 0 because they're not actually adding in any sugar to the product. It's just naturally occurring sugars. So that's the difference between total sugars and added sugars. Added is added, total is the naturally occurring. Potentially, it may not be. In this case, it is not. Total sugars are 17. Includes 17 grams of added sugar. So we know that all of the sugar in this product is added in. Your total carbohydrates is 24 grams, okay? And that is 9%. Your sugars are 34%. And this is based off of the recommendations from the Dietetics Association. Please do remember that the Dietetic Association, the people that also create registered dietitians, and create that curriculum are paid by Big Pharma, Big Food, and a lot of other, Big Ag is another one. They are paid by them. They do have partnerships with them. So we do have to be slightly skeptical, and always curious about those things and making sure they're coming from a place of nutrition knowledge and not from a place of, oh, these big guys are paying me a lot of money to say this. So please be a little skeptical of that. And that's, again, these are the people that also create the food labels. So everything with a grain of salt. I just want to teach you how to read them if you are buying processed foods, which we should be buying very minimally of anyway. So next thing. I already talked about the percent daily value that's on here. This is not a significant there's no dietary fiber. Why would there be? It is gelatin. And then what you're going to look at next would be ingredients, right? So ingredients. The first thing that's the ingredient is the most. So that's like what this is a majority made out of. And then it kind of goes down from there. So the last ingredient is what is in there, but there's just not a lot in. It's based off of volume and mass. So the first thing is corn syrup, then sugar, modified corn starch, gelatin from pork, water, dextrose, which is a sugar alcohol, natural flavors, which we have no idea what's in that because natural and artificial flavors, unless it's labeled saying vanilla, naturally derived, or natural flavor vanilla. We do not know what they use. It's like when people use fragrance on like deodorants or perfumes and it just says fragrance. There can be 100 plus, 200 plus, 300 plus different things that fall under that natural flavor, artificial flavor. It's the same thing. And then tetrasodium, pyrophosphate, which is, I don't even know what that is, to be honest. It's definitely a type of salt. It's probably something that binds it together besides the gelatin to keep it shelf stable. Something that we don't super want in our lives, but again, it's marshmallows. I did pick a pretty processing thing to go with it. These are going to be for hot chocolate, not for me, but for a different party that we're throwing. And clearly, you know, this has an expiration date of a while. You know, it doesn't expire till June 26, 2023. So we do know that these are pretty shelf stable, which again, more than likely is that last ingredient in there. But that is how you do read food labels. Obviously, this one is different because there's not a lot in there. You can always look up on the FDA.gov website how to read and interpret a food label. That's going to give you a longer rundown of what I've done here. But that is just kind of the general gist of it. If you are a person that does, like, if you count your macros and things like that, that's where you're going to want to look more at the nutrition facts. Again, it is my personal philosophy to do intuitive eating and listening to your body and listening to your cues, because your body will tell you what you need. And whether that is eating for pleasure or eating for fuel is really going to be dependent upon. But if you do have any questions about how to read a food label, please feel free to comment below.